But more than anything, what you should be doing is comparing yourself to who you were yesterday. The way that you thought, the way that you woke up and decided to go about your day. These are what you should be holding yourself to. And you should never put yourself in a position to compete with the next person in a sense. Because we all know that there's going to be somebody out there with more money. There's going to be somebody out there that looks better than you, that just simply has more than you, or maybe more blessed than you. But that doesn't even matter. The only thing that matters is that the person that you are at this very moment, you're striving to become 1% better each and every day. And you do this by holding yourself to certain standards so that you can utilize your potential. Because what I've seen so many times is the fact that there will be people who have the potential to be great, but they just haven't put themselves in a position mentally to where they're able to utilize this potential. This is why I feel like surrounding yourself by the right people has such a huge impact on your life. Because if you're around people that love you and genuinely care about you, they aren't going to do anything but uplift you. They're going to make sure that you're aware of your potential so that you can utilize it and get the best results possible. But if you're around people that may not care if you win or if you lose, they'll probably ignore it or brush it off. If you spend your time around high quality people, it's only a matter of time before you become high quality yourself. Our inner circle has the most impact on our lives than you can ever imagine. And I really want you to just keep in mind that just because you knew someone your entire lives, you may have been raised around them, y'all may have went to middle school, high school together, does not mean that you owe them anything in the future. People simply outgrow people, and that's enough of a reason for you to move on and want to surround yourself by people that are going to push you and that are going to motivate you. And I had to realize this when I kind of got into church a little bit, and I realized that a lot of the people that I was hanging around just weren't spiritual. So at that point, you have to make a transition. You think, okay, I'm trying to get myself to this next level. My current friends just aren't doing it for me. You can love them, you can still be friends, but simply because you do not hang around each other each and every day does not mean that you're enemies. You're just trying to elevate and get to that next level. So once I realized this, this put me in the headspace to where I realized that I had to stop people pleasing. I had to stop doing things simply because I felt like the next person was going to be bothered, and I had to start living for me. So I feel like it's time that each and every last one of y'all start living for you and focus more on who you were yesterday so that you can use that to become better today. Really just take the time to understand that it's okay to take one step at a time. I feel like oftentimes in life, we get discouraged if our progress isn't necessarily viewed as something drastic or something major. But I want you to know that all progress is good progress as long as it's good quality work over quantity. I'm somebody that would take that any day, and you should be somebody that, does the same. Don't let those outside voices or opinions talk you into belittling the actual progress that you're making, because right now, this is the journey. This is going to lead up to you reaching that higher point of success. And you don't want to look back and think like, man, I didn't even get to enjoy it, or I didn't even really embrace everything that I was going through, even though it was hard, because I was listening to outside noises, or I was just in a headspace to where I was just belittling myself and selling myself short. No, give yourself credit for each and every last thing. Reward yourself for the hard work that you're putting in, because no matter what nobody says, it takes actual effort to make progress. It doesn't matter if it's something that's viewed as small to the world. If you are working hard day in and day out to reach certain goals, then you deserve to be rewarded. So always just keep that in the back of your mind, but it should take one step at a time. Do not allow yourself to get so overwhelmed with this concept of making progress that you start doing too much at once. Because when you end up doing way too much, you end up doing a little bit of nothing. And this definitely happened to me, because I realized at one point in my life where I was just trying to juggle too much, and I just ended up not really getting too far. So this is when you have to take a step back and really just reassess your goals and what you want to do with yourself, and really just hold yourself accountable. So I'll say that to say, just take a step back. If you're working towards something right now, really take in everything that's going on along the process, because at some point during your journey, you will not be where you are today. But really just keep in the back of your mind that you should never compete with anyone besides yourself. When it comes to your life and where you want to go based off where you've been. For example, I'm somebody that was, I said it before, raised in poverty. I was somebody who didn't have much. So success in this form of progression and growth, to me, may be different for somebody who was already raised in a point of success where they had family that they could rely on. So it's just, I can't compare my progression to theirs because their milestones and their goals may be way bigger than mine. I'm going based off what I've experienced and what I've learned up until this point. So if I was to judge myself based on them and vice versa, I probably would not feel like I'm making enough progress, which will, in a sense, just discourage me from even pursuing anything else. This is why you never want to compete with the next person. This is why you never want to look at what the next person has and tell yourself that you don't have enough, or you're probably not going to make it as far as them because A, B, and C. Because that's not the case. I've seen people who started with way less end up in the front of the line just based on their work ethic and the things that they put out into the world. And I feel like each and every last one of us are capable of doing the same thing, but you should only compete with yourself and who you were yesterday in order to get there. And I know there's so many different ways of improving your life overall, but one of the major ways that I feel like so many people don't focus on is the importance of improving yourself mentally. Before anything, before physically, before anything like that, I believe that mentally you need to be up to par. It's cool to look good, it's cool to have muscles and to be strong and to catch eyes, but the most important is where you're at mentally, because if you're not mentally present or conscious enough of what's going on around you, it doesn't matter how big your muscles are, it doesn't matter how big your quads are, you are going to give up, you are going to fail, and life is going to tear you down because there are going to be certain barriers and challenges that you need to go through. And if you're not mentally strong enough to overcome certain challenges, then you're going to quit. So at that point, it doesn't matter how good you look, it doesn't matter how big and strong your muscles are, you're going to give up. That's why I'm a huge advocate on the thought of balance and just understanding that, yeah, it's cool to be, very good in one category of your life, but you also need to have a proper balance so that one isn't necessarily losing the race. Who would I be if I went to the gym every day, worked out, but I wasn't doing any deep work, or I wasn't journaling, or I wasn't making sure I was where I needed to be spiritually? It'll be like everything on the outside is up to par, but on the inside, everything's rotten. And you don't want to be somebody who is just belittling yourself or just not where you need to be internally, especially in today's day and age where there's so much going on. You need to be content. You need to be happy within yourself. You need to have that mental balance that you need, especially that consciousness of the world and what's going on around us. And honestly, the way that I look at it, mental clarity equals productivity. When you're in the right headspace, when you can focus, when you can lock in on your goals and your dreams, this is what's going to make you productive. But when your mind's cluttered, and shout out to Dan Cole, if y'all don't know him, go watch his YouTube channel. He's somebody that actually inspired me to start mine. But he said this analogy, and of course mine's going to be a little off, but this is just what I remember. But he said we should treat our mind. He said our mind is like our rooms. If our house is cluttered and it's full of junk, at some point it's going to be harder for us to process things and move around in that manner. So we need to sometimes take out the trash mentally and really refresh everything and clean everything else so that we can properly get things done. And I feel like this is important for our life, because if you want to live a life of productivity and growth, you need to understand how to take out the trash. You need to understand how to put yourself in that headspace where you're actually able to work in a progressive rate so that you can get certain things done. And one thing that I did learn about life is that I found peace when I focused on improving the overall quality of my life each and every day. I didn't find peace by going out and trying to be in a relationship. I didn't find peace by going out and trying to find love. I found peace by working on the small things and constantly trying to build and improve my life. Yes, that did include going to the gym, but it's a lot deeper than that. You need to strive to have that balance, like I was mentioning before, and just constantly build. There's something about, this is just a side note, but it's something about giving for me that makes me feel whole, helping the next person, going out and doing for homeless people that are less fortunate. Things like that bring me joy. Things like that constantly put me in the headspace to where I feel like I'm growing and I'm elevating if I'm able to give back, because you have to have something in order to give something. But I feel like the more that you give, the more that you will receive. But each and every day, you should constantly be striving and building to become the best version of yourself. Keep in mind that you're not perfect. You're going to fail. You're going to have hard times. But those hard times are really what's going to make you and turn you into the person that you need to be. It has nothing to do with that form of success that you're going to reach. It has everything to do with being at the absolute bottom. When nobody cares, when nobody recognizes you, that's when you're doing the most character development. It's not necessarily the money that you get that makes a person. It's really everything that led up to that point that's going to decipher whether or not or how this person may turn out. But really just take the time today to compete with yourself. Take the time today to really just go that extra inch or go that extra mile in order to make that progress. If you were great yesterday, if you worked really hard yesterday, then work twice as hard today. Do something new so that you could put yourself in a different position, because I promise you, if you do one small thing a day, at some point those small things are just going to add up, and you're going to realize that at one point in your life you thought that, man, I didn't think I can get much better than this, but I just continued to grow, I continued to push myself, and now I'm way further than I ever would have imagined. And that's what life is all about. Life is all about growth. Life is all about elevating. It doesn't matter necessarily how much you're growing, but as long as you're constantly making progress, then in the long run, it'll be worthwhile. But if you made it to the end of the video, I just want to say thank you so much. It's your boy Blue Jay Tay. Drop a like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.